We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. These profound words, often attributed to Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, hint at a reality far grander than our everyday perception. What if the very essence of who you are, your consciousness, your thoughts, your awareness, isn't confined to the 3 pounds of matter within your skull? What if you are quantum entangled with the universe itself, a force invisible, instantaneous, and utterly indifferent to space and time? A phenomenon so bizarre, so inexplicably profound, that even Einstein dismissed it as absurd, calling it spooky action at a distance. But what if this spooky action is the key to unlocking your deepest potential and reshaping your reality? Stay with us, because what you're about to discover may alter the way you understand not only reality, but yourself forever. Today, we embark on a journey into the heart of one of science's greatest enigmas and spirituality's deepest truths, the profound connection between quantum physics and consciousness. This isn't just about particles dancing in a laboratory. This is about you, because there's a question, one that few dare to truly ask, that could revolutionize your understanding of who you are and your place in the cosmos. What if your consciousness is quantum entangled with the universe itself? If this were true, it would mean that your thoughts, your awareness, your very sense of being is not confined to the brain inside your skull. It would mean your mind stretches beyond the boundaries of your body and is fundamentally linked to a fabric of reality that transcends space and time. The implications are staggering. It would challenge the foundations of neuroscience, upend our understanding of identity, and bring ancient spiritual insights into startling alignment with modern physics. In this video, we're going to explore the strange and fascinating territory where quantum physics and consciousness meet. To understand this, we first need to touch upon a cornerstone of quantum mechanics, quantum entanglement. Imagine you have 2 coins, magically linked. You flip one, and it lands heads. Instantly, without any signal passing between them, you know the other coin, even if it's on the other side of the galaxy, has landed tails. This is, in essence, entanglement. 2 particles, once linked, remain connected, their fates intertwined, no matter how vast the distance separating them. A change in one is instantaneously reflected in the other. This connection occurs without signal, without delay, without any recognizable mechanism. It shattered the comforting laws of locality and causality. This baffled Albert Einstein, who famously called it spooky action at a distance. He believed reality should be local, that what happens in one place shouldn't instantly affect another distant place. Yet, decades of rigorous experiments, most notably those related to Bell's theorem, have confirmed that this non-local interconnectedness is a fundamental feature of our universe. Entangled particles really do behave as if they are connected in a way that defies space-time as we conventionally understand it. The universe, it seems, is non-local. Then there's the equally mind-bending observer effect. In the quantum realm, particles like electrons or photons can exist as waves of probability, spread out across multiple potential states simultaneously, but the very act of observing or measuring them causes this wave of possibilities to collapse into a single, definite state. It's as if reality itself waits for an observer before deciding what form to take. The iconic double-slit experiment perfectly illustrates this. Particles behave like waves when unobserved, creating an interference pattern, but act like individual particles, going through one slit or the other when we try to detect which path they take. Astonishingly, some experiments, like the delayed choice quantum eraser, suggest that a decision made after a particle has passed through the slits can retroactively influence its past behavior. It's as if the future decision changed the past. What this means is nothing short of astonishing. The outcome isn't fixed until observed, and the observation appears to transcend time. These quantum peculiarities, entanglement, non-locality, the observer effect, retrocausality, are not just abstract physics. They raise a profound question. What is the role of the observer? In classical physics, observation is passive. In quantum mechanics, observation is creative. It determines the outcome. The act of measuring, of becoming aware, appears to collapse a cloud of infinite possibilities into a single reality. So, could your consciousness be the observer that collapses the quantum wave function, not just in a lab, but in your daily life? Could your awareness be interconnected with the world in ways you've never imagined? Several quantum theories of mind explore this. Sir Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff proposed the orchestrated objective reduction theory, suggesting that consciousness arises from quantum computations within microtubules, tiny tubular structures within neurons. In this view, these microtubules support quantum coherence, allowing for a unified wave function inside the brain. Each collapse of this wave function, they argue, is a moment of conscious awareness, billions of times per second. Other theories, like quantum brain dynamics, developed by Hirumi Umezawa and others, model the brain as a quantum field system, proposing that memory and consciousness arise from quantum field interactions between neurons, with the brain operating as a macroscopic quantum system. The holonomic brain theory, proposed by Carl Pribram, suggests the brain processes information in a way similar to holography, using wave interference patterns. What's truly fascinating is how these cutting-edge ideas resonate with ancient spiritual traditions. For millennia, mystics and sages have spoken of an underlying unity, an interconnectedness of all things. The Vedanta proclaims, Tattvam Asi, thou art that, meaning your individual self is identical to the ultimate reality, Brahman. In Advaita Vedanta, there is no self and other, no mind and matter, no subject and object, only undivided being manifesting in countless forms. Similarly, in Mahayana Buddhism, the concept of sunyata, or emptiness, refers not to void, but to the lack of inherent, separate existence between things. Everything exists only in relation to everything else. Quantum entanglement, in its cold mathematical beauty, affirms this truth. The state of one thing is not independent, but entangled with another. You cannot speak of a single particle's attributes without referencing its counterpart. Likewise, you cannot speak of a single mind without acknowledging its resonance with the whole. Entanglement is not confined to physics. It is the metaphysical foundation of interbeing. Carl Jung spoke of a causal connections between inner events and outer reality. In a classical world, these would be dismissed as coincidence, but in a quantum entangled framework, synchronicity becomes not just possible, but expected. So, what does all this mean for you? It means that your consciousness is not an isolated spark in the void, but a current in the ocean of awareness. It means your thoughts do not vanish into nothingness. They ripple through the quantum fabric. Your intentions, your focus, your attention, they matter. They imprint the lattice of reality. This shifts ethics from obligation to resonance. If all beings are entangled, then to harm another is to distort your own field. To elevate another is to lift your own frequency. This is not moralism, it is physics as compassion. Consider this: if two photons can be entangled across galaxies, responding instantly to each other's fate, could your thoughts, your consciousness, be entangled with something greater? Could the mind be part of a quantum web that links it not only to other minds, but to the universe itself? This possibility is more than poetic. It is scientific, it is testable, and it is beginning to be taken seriously. What began as spooky Action has become a central feature of quantum theory. It's not fringe, it's not speculative, it's verified, and it undermines the very idea that space separates things, or that time flows only forward. In this new view of reality, separation is an illusion. Particles, once linked, remain unified across all distances. When we apply this to consciousness, the implications are vast. This is not the end of the mystery, it is only the threshold. In the next chapter of this journey, we'll face science's most stubborn enigma: consciousness itself. What is it? Where does it come from? And why can't the brain alone explain it? Modern science, for all its advances, has not cracked it. Neuroscience can map the brain with astonishing precision. It can identify which areas light up during speech, emotion, memory, and perception. It can measure electrical signals, neurotransmitter activity, and blood flow. But none of this tells us why the inner experience arises at all. This is known as the hard problem of consciousness. The term was coined to point out a fundamental gap in understanding. It's one thing to explain how the brain processes input. It's another thing entirely to explain why there is a subjective experience of that input. Why is there a sense of self behind the eyes? Why is there anything it is like to be? A robot could perform complex computations and mimic emotional responses, but unless it has a conscious experience, it's just a machine. Something in us knows there's a difference, and that difference, conscious awareness, is not accounted for by the equations of classical physics. The prevailing model in neuroscience assumes that consciousness is produced by the brain, much like a factory produces goods. The brain, made of neurons firing in vast patterns, is thought to somehow generate awareness as an emergent property. Yet, this assumption has a glaring weakness. There is no known law in physics that explains how electrical or chemical activity turns into subjective experience. The mechanisms are not the mystery. The experience is. Some theories propose that consciousness is a kind of computational process. The brain, according to this view, is an information processing machine, and consciousness is the output. But computation by itself does not explain experience. A calculator can solve equations, but it does not know it's solving them. Consciousness is not just about processing, it's about presence. Another theory, called global workspace theory, suggests that when enough information becomes globally available in the brain, it becomes conscious. But again, the theory describes the architecture, not the essence. It maps the function without explaining the feeling. This is why many scientists and philosophers now believe that the standard model is incomplete, that a new paradigm is required. And this is where the quantum enters. Quantum mechanics already rewrote the rules of the physical world. It showed that particles behave like waves, that observation affects outcome, and that non-locality is real. These revelations broke the grip of classical determinism. Suddenly, the universe looked less like a machine and more like a mystery. Now, some are beginning to ask, could the same quantum strangeness apply to consciousness? Could awareness itself be a quantum phenomenon? The idea may seem radical, but consider what consciousness does. It unifies experience. It allows multiple streams of input, sight, sound, thought, memory, emotion, to come together into a seamless whole. This unity is something classical physics struggles to explain. But in quantum mechanics, systems are described by holistic wave functions, not isolated parts. The quantum world favors unity. Another feature of consciousness is its apparent indeterminacy. You don't always know what thought or feeling will arise next. There's a kind of openness to experience. In quantum mechanics, outcomes are not fixed until measured. Reality itself exists in a cloud of probabilities. Some theorists argue that this indeterminacy in quantum systems might mirror the freedom and spontaneity we associate with conscious thought. There's also the role of the observer. In quantum mechanics, the act of observation affects the system being observed. This has led some to suggest that consciousness might not just observe reality, it might participate in shaping it, the collapse of the quantum wave function. According to this interpretation, it's not just a physical process, it's a conscious one. This is controversial. Many physicists reject the idea that consciousness plays any role in quantum mechanics. They argue that observation doesn't require a mind, only an interaction with a measuring device. But others are not so sure. The observer effect remains a deep puzzle, and the definition of observer is far from settled. What's clear is this: classical physics has no room for consciousness. Quantum physics might. This has led to a growing interest in quantum theories of mind. From Penrose and Hameroff's Orchor theory to emerging ideas about coherence in neural microstructures, these proposals suggest that awareness is not an emergent property of complexity. It is embedded in the quantum field itself. Your thoughts are not merely electric, they are entangled. They are not local, they are non-local. They reach across boundaries, across time, across probabilities. And when you bring these ideas together, the picture that emerges is radical. You are not a passenger within this universe. You are a participant in its unfolding. Your mind, though appearing to sit behind the curtain of your skull, is in constant, entangled dialogue with the field of reality. It shapes what collapses from possibility into actuality. It influences patterns not just internally, but externally. It is, in every meaningful sense, a portal through which the universe observes itself, learns itself, and evolves itself. What does this mean for the way you live? It means that consciousness is not a passive witness. It is causal. Your focus matters. Your beliefs matter. Your emotional states do not stay confined to your psyche. They radiate through the entangled latticework of being. Intuition may not be fantasy. It may be reception of non-local information. Synchronicities may not be chance. They may be harmonics within a deeper order. And so-called coincidence begins to look more like evidence of hidden coherence. You've seen how ancient traditions echoed these truths in symbolic language. From Eastern non-duality to esoteric teachings in the West, the core idea was always this: the self is not separate from the source. The observer and the divine are not two. The wave and the ocean are not distinct. Now, quantum theory, without intending to, has circled back to the same mountain the mystics climbed from the other side. And standing on this summit, both paths converge. This is not spiritual fantasy. This is the future of consciousness science. As experiments become more refined, as understanding deepens, as resistance to post-materialist paradigms fades, what awaits is a new worldview, one that acknowledges that the universe is not dead. It is alive, with intelligence, awareness, and infinite potential. So now, as we bring this journey to its close, let us reflect on the core revelations you've absorbed. 1. Quantum entanglement has shattered the illusion of separateness at the most fundamental level of matter. It shows that what appears to be out there is in some mysterious way connected to what's in here. 2. Consciousness cannot be fully explained by classical neuroscience. It may instead be woven into the quantum fabric, acting both as observer and participant in the dance of reality. 3. Quantum theories of mind suggest that your awareness may be interacting with the universe in non-local, causal ways. You are more than flesh and brain. You are a field of influence, a nodal point in the matrix of existence. 4. Spiritual and philosophical systems across millennia have whispered these truths in sacred texts and symbolic visions. Today, Physics is beginning to echo those same whispers, though in equations rather than parables. And finally, the truth that pulses at the center of all of this. Your consciousness is not separate from the cosmos. It is entangled with it, not metaphorically, literally. This realization redefines what it means to be alive, to be human, to be aware. It calls you to become a conscious participant in the evolution of reality itself, not through force or manipulation, but through alignment, coherence, and presence. When you align your thoughts with harmony, when your intention resonates with truth, when your awareness is rooted in unity, you become a conduit through which the universe reorganizes itself into greater complexity, order, and beauty. And what of the future? The next steps in quantum research will not only push the boundaries of technology, they will push the boundaries of ontology. What is real? What is self? What is time? What is mind? These are no longer philosophical curiosities. They are the questions that will define the coming age. Already, we are seeing explorations into quantum cognition, into biofield science, into the influence of intention on matter. Already, there are signs that ancient practices like meditation, prayer, and ritual may function through quantum mechanisms of entanglement and coherence. This is not a regression to mysticism. It is a full circle return to the deeper unity from which both science and spirituality originate. And now, one final question lingers, not as a conclusion, but as an ignition point. If your consciousness is entangled with the universe, what will you choose to focus on? Will you align with fear or with resonance, with separation or with unity, with entropy or with meaning? Because whether you realize it or not, you are constantly tuning the quantum field. Every thought is a frequency, every emotion a waveform, every intention a vector. And the future is not something that happens to you. It is something that unfolds through you. This is the secret power that modern science is only just beginning to approach. The knowledge that you are not separate from creation. You are creation awakening to itself. So take this awareness and hold it like a sacred key. Let it transform the way you perceive yourself. Let it shift how you treat others. Let it awaken the part of you that has always known there is more. There has always been more. And now you are beginning to remember. The universe is not distant. It is entangled with your very being. And through your awareness, it becomes conscious of itself. The mind-bending truth has been revealed, not just by equations, not just by mystics, but by the convergence of all that is rational, intuitive, sacred, and empirical. The quantum revolution is not coming. It is already here. We are seeing explorations into quantum cognition, into biofield science, into the influence of intention on matter. There are signs that ancient practices like meditation, prayer, and ritual may function through quantum mechanisms of entanglement and coherence. This is not a regression to mysticism. It is a full circle return to the deeper unity from which both science and spirituality originate. And now, one final question lingers, not as a conclusion, but as an ignition point. If your consciousness is entangled with the universe, what will you choose to focus on? Will you align with fear or with resonance, with separation or with unity, with entropy or with meaning? Because whether you realize it or not, you are constantly tuning the quantum field. Every thought is a frequency, every emotion a waveform, every intention a vector, and the future is not something that happens to you. It is something that unfolds through you. This is the secret power that modern science is only just beginning to approach. The knowledge that you are not separate from creation. You are creation awakening to itself. What experiences have you had that hint at this deeper, entangled reality? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's explore this frontier together. The journey into the quantum nature of consciousness is more than an intellectual exercise. It's an invitation to reclaim your agency at the deepest level. You are not at the mercy of a mechanical cosmos. You are a sovereign node within it, and sovereignty here means alignment with the quantum field, coherence with the universal symphony. The more aligned your consciousness, the clearer your influence on the unfolding probabilities of your experience. Prayer, meditation, ritual. These are not superstitions, they are technologies of alignment. They quiet the noise, focus the wave function, and bring the self into phase with the universal frequency. Through stillness, intention, and awareness, you become a tuning fork for cosmic harmony. This is why spiritual traditions emphasize silence, breath, presence. These states allow for coherent entanglement with the higher order. The mystic and the physicist, each in their own way, seek that coherence, the former through surrender, the latter through symmetry. Entanglement also reshapes the meaning of death. If consciousness is entangled with the universal field, then it cannot be annihilated, it can only transform. Death is not disappearance, but decoherence. The localized wave collapses, but the field persists. What we call the afterlife may be the persistence of awareness in a different configuration of the entangled whole. This, too, was known to the sages. In Egyptian mysticism, the soul journeyed through the underworld, not to perish, but to be weighed and realigned with Ma'at, the cosmic order. In Tibetan teachings, the bardo was not an end, but a transition through probabilistic realities shaped by the mind's final focus. Now the quantum lens begins to offer structure to these metaphysical landscapes. You are not separate from the source. You are not a stranger in the universe. You are the universe awakening to itself through conscious entanglement. This realization demands more than contemplation. It demands transformation. To live with the knowledge of quantum unity is to become a custodian of thought, a guardian of coherence. Every emotion, every intention, every whisper of mind has reach. It shapes fields, it influences outcomes, it draws synchronicities. This is the hidden architecture of karma, not punishment and reward, but the return of resonance. And so, the journey of consciousness is not about escape. It is about presence, not about rising above the world, but about fully inhabiting it with quantum awareness. In this awareness, you recognize the sacred in every pattern, the infinite in every moment. The future of consciousness will not be dictated by machines, but by the rediscovery of this ancient truth, that we are entangled beings in a living cosmos. As science reaches further into the quantum domain, it will continue to confirm what mystics have always known, that consciousness is not an accident, it is the axis of reality. And so, we return to where we began, with a question that now resonates deeper. Is your consciousness entangled with the universe? The answer may be more than yes. The answer may be that there is no you and universe. There is only a single, vast, intelligent field observing itself from within, through you, through me, through every flicker of awareness across time and space. The quantum revolution is not just technological, it is existential, it is spiritual, and it is only beginning. There are moments in human understanding where the boundaries that once seemed fixed begin to shimmer and dissolve, where categories blur, where the known collapses into the unknown. This is not confusion, it is revelation, and what you've just encountered in this journey through quantum entanglement and consciousness is precisely that, a revelation hiding behind the veil of scientific language and mystical metaphor alike. It began with a riddle from the subatomic realm, particles separated by vast distances, responding to each other instantly, without signal, without delay, without explanation in classical terms. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. Yet, This phenomenon is not a glitch. It is a clue that the universe is not what it appears to be, that space and time are not the fixed stage upon which reality plays out, but variables shaped by a deeper substrate of pure interconnection. That the walls between observer and observed, between thought and thing, between mind and matter, are paper thin. You have witnessed how quantum entanglement redefined not just the behavior of particles, but the very concept of separateness. You've seen how, once particles become linked, they no longer act as individuals. They become part of a shared state, no matter how far apart they move through space-time. The act of measuring one alters the other. And suddenly, the cosmos begins to look less like a collection of objects and more like a single conscious organism entangled within itself. But it didn't stop with particles. When this same lens is pointed at the mystery of consciousness, it lights a fire at the heart of every ancient teaching. If these ideas resonate with you, if you feel the pulse of this interconnected reality, then join us on this exploration. Subscribe to Xendai for more journeys into the frontiers of science, spirituality, and human potential. Share this video with those who are ready to awaken to their own cosmic power. The revolution of understanding has begun, and you are an essential part of it. Thank you for watching.